Warning! The following episode of Orsini's Uncensored Mind contains explicit language and adult content. The thoughts and opinions stated on this show are reflective of A.J. Orsini, the Steve Dave, and their guests exclusively. Seriously, guys, my dada and uncle say some pretty crazy stuff. If it offends you, go be butthurt somewhere else.
Last week on the OUM podcast.
And if you want to point out the fact where you're like, oh, well, you know, maybe Vince behind the scenes, they know that it was Stone Cold's turn that did it. The people have the information. That's why Cena's turn never kind of happened, because they knew the formula they didn't want to repeat. I would refute that Cena would not have been able to do that in the era Stone Cold was in, because I feel like the era that Cena was in was handcrafted, quite literally, because his whole gimmick changed that made him famous, right? He was handcrafted in a PG era where the focus was a lot different. So him changing, is obvious it would have done more harm than it would have done anything for Cena. Cena is being promoted to children. Why would you It's like Barney shooting up his set one day because he just had, he wanted to go heel. Right? Like, no, like Barney can't go heel. He's got to stay the nice guy. It doesn't work if you don't do that. So if you want to point at, hey, the formula, see what Vince did with Cena, that's why Cena never changed it, because it didn't work. No, I'll argue that they didn't change it because Vince had made an overall change to counter the bubble pop, because that's when he decided to go PG. Who's going to give you the money? The kids. Go after the kids. The adults are done with it. I think that's the ultimate thing. The adults are getting older.
Yeah, that point right there is why I still say to this day, and I've been crucified for saying it, but I believe it in my heart. For everybody who's complained recently about handcuffs, I can't think of a single human being more handcuffed than Cena was. Handcuffed. He had to do everything they told him to do.
And this is what made him greatness, right? Because I think you would get refuted with, well, he wanted it, right? He agreed to it. Like the Seth Rollins and the other people in that time that were pissed off because they wanted, like Kevin Owens, they want to be set free. Like, let me be what got me here. I can give you. No, Cena was like, yes, sir. Right? So it's more like, oh, he wanted, like he liked that. It was. No, I would argue that if given Cena the choice to keep the gimmick he created that was blowing the fuck up, he would have done it if it was best for business.
There's your main event for WrestleMania. John Cena. John, what the hell are you doing? The final boss, John! What the hell? Always has a plan!
But it looks like one of us is going to be fucking surprised as fuck this Saturday at the Elimination Chamber. I will say this. I am excited about the Chamber, and I am excited about WrestleMania. But I'll have to admit, I'm not as excited about either as I was last year.
So, an awful lot to talk about. Star-studded show, incredible storylines. I would throw out to everybody. Does it feel like we're on the road to WrestleMania now? Yeah.
Welcome to Orsini's Uncensored Minds, and now your host, A.J. Orsini with Dave.
Oh my God in heaven. Oh my God, it's your boys! We're back again, and what the fuck is happening? What in the sweet baby corn Jesus and what is happening? In the last
I don't know,
48...
something apparently good because the whole show is about wrestling. So.
Oh, no, it's not. This whole show is not about wrestling.
80%.
Okay, well, here's the deal. So much has gone down in the last 48 hours. My God, the entire wrestling world has shifted. It has come off of its axis. All is not okay with the world. We have the children, the poor children, in their tears, in their feelings. We have adults in their tears of joy and in their feelings. The whole world has got upside down. So watching this PLE, which I'm still getting used to saying, so many things happened on this show where it took me back to last week's episode. And it was almost like there was such a stark connection to so many of the things that we were talking about. And we're going to harp on everything that happened at this pay-per-view, and we're going to actually refer back to more points that we made last week beyond the opening that I just played. I felt that was the best way to start this show off, to give you guys some sort of context, because we're going to be referring to some points that we made last week, several of them actually, to lead into what actually went down this Saturday. I am specifically happy that we are recording on Tuesday the 4th, the day after Raw, because Raw got even crazier, and we're just living in we're living in a different world than we did when we recorded this last. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things changing. I can't believe Triple H shouted me out the way that he just did. That crack was not just at the internet community. That was at everybody. That was at me. That was at you. That was at everybody who doubted. For all of the doubters who were saying, oh, there's no way, man. He's just not bringing that hype the way he did before. Whoopsie. Looks like we made an oopsie here. Because your boy, Chef Helmsley, is back at it again. He's in the kitchen and he's cooking. He's got a lot of stuff going on. So Elimination took place this Saturday, but you said it's all wrestling. It's not all wrestling. There's other stuff to talk about here on the show. Let's get into that.
Come on, don't keep us waiting. What's going to happen on the show today?
So what's going to happen on the show today is I'm not breaking from the plan. Although the world has shifted, I will not break, I will not bend, I will not surcease. Game Changers is still on the docket here for the beginning of our show here. Our first segment, of course, is going to take us to episode 3, and our second episode will take us to episode 4. We did the first 2 episodes last week. We've got 2 episodes to get to here. Game Changers, episode 3, Atari takes the lead. We're going to dig into that just a little bit. And segment 2, Game Changers, episode 4, When Duty Calls. I giggled about over that title a few times. As previously mentioned, the Elimination Chamber went down this Saturday. We're going to talk about most of the matches for segment 3. That'll be the first 3 more specifically. And then, of course, in our main event this evening, we kept this one brief because I just know we're going to talk so much about it. Our main event is the last match, including the unforgettable, earth-shattering, as Triple H called it, game-changing situation that took place. There is a seismic shift in the wrestling world, and it's leaving everyone else in the dust. So we're going to talk about all of that here today. I'm literally vibrating from my excitement about everything. Then no pause. I'm going all the way. We're not pausing on this. I'm going to vibrate incessively until we get all this down, because I'm excited to be honest with you. I'm excited to talk about every fucking single thing that's on this list. I'm hyped for all of it, and I just have
I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say that what for you?
1%. There's one we can skip right over, but whatever.
Is it the first one?
What do you mean the first one? The
Which-
matches.
The matches.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you're referring to. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All
We'll
right.
get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there. As a matter of fact, if you want, we can start with that little comment right there and get that.
No. We'll get there. Keep it in order. Let's go.
Keep it in order. Let's go to. We got to get this going, man. Segment 1. Let's get into it.
Let's begin segment 1.
Segment 1 takes us to episode 3 of Game Changers, in which episode 3 is with the episode title is Atari Takes the Lead. I was looking forward to this one because of my personal history with the console. I had an Atari, not just any Atari. I had the 2600. Thank you very much. And I remember the exact when I first got it. I remember my mother raised this Jehovah's Witness, which means it was quite possibly the smartest move she could make because it kept us away from a lot of holidays and a lot of gifts. But I do recall earlier in the game when they were still a couple where I did get this for Christmas. And I remember the 3 games that came with it. I don't think it came with the system. I think they bought me the 3 games to go with it. They didn't just get me the game. It was Pole Position, pause. It was Qbert. And the third
Is that the little ball with the mouth?
Yeah. The little orange dude, like bloop, bloop, bloop. And
Yep.
then it was,
Yeah.
and then of course the classic Pac-Man. Had to get the Pac-Man. So I remember the Atari 2600. So I was really looking forward to this episode. And I have to admit, when I watched this episode, I was very disappointed. Because I finally found out through this documentary here that the gentleman who co-founded Atari, he's actually the original guy to start this. He gave himself co-founder because he brought in the other guy to help with the business side of things. But Nolan Bushnell stood out. He's the co-founder of Atari. And I don't know how you feel. You can share your thoughts. But he came across to me as one hell of an asshole. This guy is a Hall of Fame douchebag. I mean, what a dick. Did I express that enough? This guy's kind of an asshole. I was just
the vibe check I'm getting, though, is that, like, everyone was kind of a fucking asshole.
As we progress, yes, you are correct. He was one of many in the sea of douchebaggery, but by golly geez. So I didn't know. Well, no, the episode opens up with a very good question, for me anyway, it was a very good question. If you're a hardcore, traditional, history-following gamer, then you probably already knew the answer. But for someone like me, who has very limited knowledge of it, this was my first time learning about the PDP-1, the Program Data Processor. Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah.
You had, okay. So this was my first time hearing about it, because they started off the episode very interestingly, where they started off with the basic question, which was the first ever video game. And when they started mentioning the popular answers, that's kind of where my head was too. It was there. Was it Pong? Was it Pac-Man? That's kind of like
Invaders.
Space Invaders is in there.
Similar to that, yeah.
Yeah. So when it came up with Space War, I got that confused with something else. I was like, oh, is that the one? I was thinking, that little, when you're the little spaceship in the middle of the screen.
In the middle. Yep.
And asteroids or whatever are coming at you and you shoot that shit.
Yep.
That's what I thought he was talking about until they showed it. And I went, oh, no, that's something completely different. I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know what the fuck that is. But my one of my favorite characters in the whole episode, Slug. Steve Russell, the Slug, invented Space War on one of those PDP ones that had a visor that had visual capability. Apparently, not all of them had that, so that was pretty cool that he was able to put that together. And he came across this idea like every other asshole when they get something in their hand and just, how can I make this shitty thing better? How can I make this shitty thing more?
The crazy
fun?
shit is like, all of those MIT students were looking at computing, calculating, things to improve, just like that what's the word I'm looking for? Like collegiate. That's not the word I'm looking for. Like an academic reason for the computer to help with that stuff. And then it's just shocking. There's just one asshole who was like, "Oh, this has a display. We could probably do something cool with this."
Yeah.
And decided to play around with it.
Yeah.
And just so happened to make it, let me make a game. Like, what can I do with this? Oh, let me make a game. And then it was just like so accidental. It looked like it played really well, considering it was the first ever idea that one random. I'm assuming he was very slow working. That's why they called him Slug.
He said, "I don't know why they called me that. You know why they call you that, dude. You just didn't want to share."
Motherfucker. Yeah. Dude. They give you the complicated task and put you in a corner. You'll fucking figure it out. It'll take you 3 weeks. But you'll get it done.
Yeah, he's dependable. He'll get it done. It's just going to take him a while. He's Sloth from fucking Zootopia. Like, he'll get the job done, but then
it's amazing. No, that moment and then how it kind of unfolds. Honestly, just this to me feels more like a lesson in history than it is even specifically about video games.
Yeah,
The moment, like things like for instance, I was watching a video the other day where the person was like, you need to speak about your ideas to people. I don't know, for some reason people don't like to speak about their ideas because they're afraid, someone's going to steal it. No, you're more likely to get people to help you than steal it. And I'm like, I kind of agreed with that thought, right? Because I'm like, well, yeah, there's patents. There's like I guess it would be you'd have to be like ground level and have the ability to process the idea to create. Like, it's very specific to be able to steal someone's idea today, right? And then if you can get yours off, there's way to protect it, stuff like that. But to me, that after watching this, I'm like, oh, that's just where it comes from. Because it's like, then they talked about it. We don't have patents. Like,
yeah.
By the time we sue somebody, they give us the runaround, we lose money. So you just want to be the best and you want to be the first to it. So it's like one asshole made it for funsies, another asshole saw it and was like, "Oh, we're out of here."
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, the fucking gates are flooded.
Yeah.
With what this one guy made because he was interested in a display.
Right.
Like that was so interesting.
He took the exact game and went from Space War and renamed it Computer Space and went about his fucking business. That was it.
Yep.
That was it.
It's mine now.
It's mine now. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Crazy.
It's funny because the way when he admits to the patent thing and he's just like, yeah, we didn't really, I think the exact words that he uses is that it was hard to get a patent on those things because they were software technology, and at the time, what is that? Like, define that. Like, how do we patent this? We don't know what it is.
But you would save more money just not doing that than it would actually protect you, is what I got from what he was trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. So this guy took full advantage of this guy being Nolan, the guy that I mentioned earlier. He fucking takes full advantage of the fucking situation, and we're not there yet, but the audacity for this man to start his career fucking ripping this guy off from his game and then being upset later when someone sues him for stealing their IDs. Like, how fucking dare you? How am I supposed to make money off of your shit if you won't let me? This is bullshit. This is your thing.
It's funny because throughout this entire thing, that history constantly repeats itself.
Yeah.
And it even bleeds into today. I thought it was fucking hilarious watching this.
Yeah.
That the people that made Activision because they were being taken advantage of. And they're like, no, we're the ones who fucking we're the ones making you the money and you're going to fire us because we're not you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Right.
But fast forward today. Activision is known for being blood-sucking money thieves.
Yep.
Right? I don't know if it's the same owners or any of that, but it's it's just ironic how and that's like me taking today versus that moment right there. Even within this video, you see the cycle happening. This shit is only 2 years apart. It's like fucking the same thing. We're taken advantage of. We leave. We get taken advantage of. We leave because these people knew how to create, but
Yeah.
no one knew how to run a business. And the problem with that time, it's like people didn't understand that you get more bees with honey.
Uh-huh.
So although there's bloodsuckers today as well, I would say there's more companies that understand that, like, if you treat your people the best way you can, you'll get them to stay and you can make more money in the long run. Back then, it was fucking dog eat dog, dude. They go in there like, fuck your games, fuck how good it is. It's not making money. We need more of this. I need 20 Marios and no more Pongs. They're like, dude, you're not going to be able to sell it. Nope. I need money shows it. The numbers, it shows it. I want it now. Crazy, dude.
So,
Absolutely.
So
crazy.
just to backtrack for a second, I wanted to mention this on the show that they brought up that the PDP-1 was a system that fed through paper and fed through all these different things, and they would do a hole punch system where they would call it hacking. They would hack through it, and that's apparently where the term hacker came from. Now, a person who uses computers to gain unauthorized access to data, which we all know today what that is, but it's funny that it was invented then, and it's kind of, the word itself has kind of been phased out now, because I think everybody to some degree is executing some form of hack.
Is it elite hacksaw?
Is it what?
Elite hacksaw is what my
Elite
wife calls
hacksaw.
it.
Oh, okay.
Leet.
And so Nolan basically takes the complete idea of Space War, creates computer space under a company called Syzygy. Syzygy. Noun, the nearly straight line configuration of three celestial bodies in a gravitational system. This man was deep. He was just like, yeah, the way the
don't let that go over your head.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, don't let that shit go over your head. Also, a little fun fact: Atari is what the Japanese yell for checkmate in their version of chess called Wiki. W-E-I-Q-I. I was like, oh, that's where he got Atari from. Much better than the bullshit he was rocking with 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
So he brought in. So this takes us to, once he's got the computer space thing going, he brings this to bars. He brings this to places where he's playing the game, and it's doing what it's doing. But he wants to get inside the home, man. He is trying to get to where the money is, where the families are, where the people spend their most time. He's trying to get into this, and that takes me to a word I have not heard in forever. And to be honest with you, I didn't think I was going to hear it during a video game documentary, but Magnavox. If you are in my age group, you know all about Magnavoxes. Those are those big ass. This was back when when TV was furniture. It was a box.
Yeah.
It was wood.
Yeah.
It was this big ass, like you put family heirlooms on top of this shit. You could smack the
we
top
had
of
one.
it. Yeah, we had one for
We
forever.
had a couple, actually.
Yeah, we ran through a couple of them, that's for sure. Yeah, but we did, we did. And that's why when I heard that, I was surprised. And it even said on the documentary that it was a TV thing, and they sold this and they sold that. And they created the Magnavox Odyssey, which is one of the original, if not the original. I can't remember which one it was, if it was one of the originals or the original home console. And it had 2 rectangles and a little dot in the middle going back and forth and back and forth. Didn't keep score, didn't have sound, no sound effects, but it was the precursor. It was the makings of one of the most infamous video games of all time, Pong. And that's where it began. And once again, Nolan saw a fresh idea and got rock hard. He was just like, oh man.
Give me your ideas, boy.
Give me your fucking ideas, boy. Mine. And he proceeded to take exactly that and do what they did. They started adding they started creating cartridges for with these games, with the computer chips and the processing and all that stuff. Now we're getting fancy. And they decided to put all that together, and they created the game that we all know now as Pong. But unfortunately, and I wrote these down because these were amazing to me, that along with Atari, so many other gaming consoles came out, And they all had Pong as well, but not the way we have it now where you license it. No, they had their versions of Pong. TV Ping Pong, Paddle Ball, Ilong Pong, TV Tennis, Paddle Battle, Pong Trong, Pub Pong.
I think you're slow walking into racist territory.
I was just going to say, that whole sentence was racist. If you add an accent to that, that's racist. TV Ping Pong, Paddle Ball, Ella Pong, TV Tennis.
If you were not Asian, we would be out of here.
There you go. I'd be off the air right now.
Off the air.
Even though we're just recording. They brought in Ralph Baer, who had the patent on video games, and that was, remember before you were saying, and the guy had brought it up, we just didn't believe in patents or whatever. This guy, Ralph Baer, who worked for Magnavox, had a patent. Several of them, actually.
Yeah.
And I laughed.
And good lawyers.
Because they were smart in their wording. When I heard this sentence, I paused and I laughed until I had tears, and my wife thought I was having a stroke. Because he said, word for word, this is what he said, they had several patents. You can see the numbers. They showed it on the screen, one of the affidavits. And one of the patents they had was on video games. They patent video games. Just broad, just across the board. It's mine. All of it. All video games. When you're first,
I like that game. It's mine.
When you're first, I guess you make the rules when you're first. So they said
all. There's telling you can't.
They didn't even know what it was. They're like, "Yeah, sure." They saw that paperwork and said, "Sure, whatever that shit is, video games, whatever that is, yeah, you can have it."
That's why.
So Atari is out here going banana sandwich and selling all these fucking video games, and now they can't because Magnavox is like, "Fuck you." So they had to work out some sort of deal, and they did, where Atari pays Magnavox $500K up front. That's off the rip. That's bottom line right there. Then it's $100K a year for 5 years, and this is the best part. And they must go after everyone else after them. That means for every other company that exists afterwards that wants to make video games, Magnavox has to sue them too, just to make it fair. He was feeling so upset in his feelings that he was trying to steal this motherfucker's idea. They just wouldn't let him do it. He's like, just let me have your money. What is the problem here?
It's fucking genius, though, because then it just becomes, all right, I want to sue them, but then I have to sue everybody. It's financially not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking genius. Dude.
Well, that's the part of, that's, to me, that was the whole point of a patent, right? Because they probably had it in their head they would at least do something to somebody who did it. Fun fact again, I didn't know this, but it made total sense. Up until this point of the story, I dislike Nolan a great deal. And he looks to me, as the more he talks, like a shriveling little shit. Like he's not a genius. He's not that guy. He hasn't built a thing. He hasn't invented a fucking thing. He hasn't done shit with his hands except sign checks and fill out paperwork. He has found a way to make money doing nothing, right? Right place, right time. And then I laughed when they made mention that Steve Jobs worked at Atari.
They lightly said they threw that in there.
They threw that in there, and I went, that makes all the fucking sense in the world now. Because there is another motherfucker who became so famous for fucking nothing. He did nothing. But he's at one point one of the richest men in the fucking world and synonymous with the Apple product. That it was just, when they said that, I said, that's fucking amazing. I was very surprised to hear that Warner Communications got involved purchasing Atari. I didn't know that. That was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And they brought in Ray Kassar, who had his hands in the fashion industry, but more importantly, Burlington Coat Factory.
Yeah, that one was crazy.
I was like, yo, small fucking world. All these things being mixed around. But of course, Ray comes in and he's butting heads with Nolan because who wouldn't? And then along comes Puckman. Now, for those of you out there who did not see the show and don't know what I'm talking about, that's Pac-Man before it became Pac-Man. It was started off in Japan as Puck-Man, and when they brought it to the States, they decided to change the name because they were afraid, and I quote, that the teenagers would have way too much fun with Puck-Man. They're one letter away from really fucking up the marketing of this game. And as a former teenager of the 90s and a kid who was born in the 80s, I support that 100%. I would have definitely called it Fuckman. Definitely. I would have definitely called. So you guys were smart in that aspect because I would have been all over that. And I would have been
marketing team was on it.
Yeah, they did their job because I would have been the first asshole in school telling my teacher that I'm going home to play Fuckman. I would have done it. So I'm glad that they thought for me and thought
they kept you out of detention.
They minimalized it, I guess. They gave me an opportunity.
There you go.
I still found my way there. Stan Jarocki, who made a very interesting point about how old he is. He kept beating that point home that he was old. He's like, I'm an old man. I did 50 years of this, 40 years of that. This man was a living, breathing manual of whatever the fuck he was doing. And he was the former VP of marketing for Bally Midway. Midway, we all know. Famous video game company. He was the VP for marketing there. He had a very good point. I wanted to ask you about this and how you felt about that point. You were the first person that came to mind when I heard this. When he started describing one of his favorite aspects of the new games that was coming out, especially the arcade games, the coin-op-based games, where they had started developing leaderboards. Where people were playing the games and then they were establishing almost like a status of like a top 10 or a top 20 or whatever it is, and that to him changed the game because it became more competitive than just how far can I go. Now it's, can I beat the guy who is on top of that list? What was your take on that when you heard that part about the leaderboard? How big was that?
Oh, I popped when I heard him.
Oh, you did? Okay.
When he said the introduction of leaderboard, did you see how excited he was?
Oh, he was. Oh man,
That's how I felt.
Yeah,
because he was right. Because it's one of those like, I don't know, man. It just felt like, dude, he's right, man. Like like even to this day, dude, trying to play games that don't at least have a little bit of competitiveness to it. It's just tough, man. It ruins like gaming almost. Like, you can't just have fun. You got to be the best at it.
So you got your pros and cons with that. Because there were people putting in quarters trying to break records on some of those machines.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you go to school bragging about that stuff. Dude. I'm sure back in that day. And the cool thing, too, back then, it's like every arcade had its own individual thing, right? So, like, if you had a couple... I'm sure this happened where, like, if you had a couple arcades within a certain radius, they're like, bro, I'm number one at Pat's Pizza, the arcade place, and over at the whatever place, the movie theater, I have number one on every single one of those. Yeah. And now you're like, bro, I gotta beat that. I gotta take that record.
I have to.
I have to. Yeah, absolutely. I gotta go mow some lawns, get some quarters, and get over there and get that record.
This is a little off track, but as far as the leaderboard goes, each game usually had its own set of numerical spots, but traditionally, especially in the late 80s, early 90s, whenever you got on the leaderboard, it was three initials. It was three you would put. And I remember going to a pizzeria by our grandmother's house one time, way back when, and I was playing, and the leaderboard would, as soon as the game was over, the leaderboard would pop up. And you would see some of the most interesting initials on there, like TIT. Ass, tit, DIC, dick, CUM, cum. There was some very interesting choices.
Kids are such children.
Kids are such children, yes. Absolutely right. Kids. Can't fucking do nothing with them, and so on and so forth. So after the fucking leaderboard discussion here, Namco, another world famous video game designing company, they got their start with amusement rides for kids at amusement parks. and then wandered into toys, and then wandered into gaming. Quick side note, Namco and Bandai, I'm not sure, are they one and the same now, or are they just two?
I think they're the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
So the reason why I bring it up is because we just got some.
I think they're Banco. Yeah, I think they're the same. I'd have to look it up.
We just got some very interesting news. So I don't even know why this was on our phones, but probably I guess because of where we are. But Banco and Banco, I just combined it to two. Namco and Bandai are Japanese-based companies, and they have pretty much spent all of their time, obviously, in their native countries. But because of that, they haven't really expanded out of Japan until recently, a few years back, when they made a store in London. And by store, I mean like an actual retail store. So you're buying the merch, you're buying exclusive Japanese, like you can't get it anywhere else, you know? And so they opened up a place in London that has been very, very, very successful. So they decided to open up a third store, and that third store is here in Brooklyn. And it's 30 short blocks from my house. So it's not even like on a weird section of Brooklyn. It's like right there. At a location that I was literally just at over the weekend. We go there all the time. And I didn't hear about it except that it was like a notification for an article on my phone. So my wife was like, oh shit, we should probably go check that out. And I was like, yeah, we probably should. And then we didn't. And then a friend of ours went, and they're like, don't go yet. Because everybody and their fucking mother was there, and it's packed to the gills. So I was like, all right, I'll wait. I'll wait until that happens. But Toru Iwatani, the father of Pac-Man, one of the game gurus of Namco, introduced. He started his first game with GB. And I looked at that and I was just like, woo, baby, good thing for Pac-Man. Don't let that be your fucking legacy. And Tadashi Yamashita, who is the former Namco visual artist, he's the one who quote-unquote made Pac-Man cute. Which I thought was interesting because that was always the rumor when we were kids. I don't remember a press release. I don't remember a commercial. I don't remember anything official making it so. But it was always kind of assumed when we were kids. Maybe you remember things differently, but I remember very specifically there used to be kind of an aura around Pac-Man. They're like, oh, that's for girls. And I was like, I never understood that because I loved playing Pac-Man. So I was like, I don't really get how it's just, for girls or whatever. And then I'm watching this and they're like, yeah, we made this shit for girls. And I was like, what?
Yeah, well, they said why, though. They said because everything in the market was very gritty, very blood, very guts.
Yeah.
And it was very simple. Like, if you think about it, it's really, aside from the Miss Pac-Man, there's really nothing girly about Pac-Man per se.
Yeah.
But if you put it next to Doom, then, yeah, it's pretty girly.
Yeah. Yeah, so they were like, yeah, that girls were being dragged to the arcade with their boyfriends and they wouldn't actually play anything. The boys would do all the playing. And here was this one game now where they could put down and girls would jump on board and then go, hey, that sounds like a fun game. Let's play that. And that's kind of how, Pac-Man, they advertised it like Pac-Man was played by boys, men, girls, women, aunts, uncles, grandmas. Everybody played Pac-Man. Everybody knows Pac-Man.
Damn, not me, Ma.
This past weekend, on the 1st, was my son's birthday party, which thank you again for attending. And this past Thursday was his actual birthday. So the party was on Saturday. Thursday was his actual birthday. We picked him up early from school, took him somewhere to eat. We went to Dave & Buster's, and of course we're at Dave & Buster's, and he's playing Pac-Man. That fucking game is generational. My kids are my grandkids are gonna fucking play Pac-Man at some point. I lost my shit again. I had to pause it when they said, well, because of the success of the Atari, this is now when they're starting to get into the crash of 83. We touched on this a little bit when we saw the first episode with Nintendo. And they got into more specifics here about the crash of '83, flooding the market, just dummy accounts and just dummy games and just all kinds of everything. It just turned all of the fans off of what was happening. And this was the beginning starts of that, the crash of '83. And when they were trying to illustrate how serious it was, how saturated the market was, they were like, Quaker Oats had a game, and I said, "Squeeze me."
yeah.
And I said, "Squeeze me? What is this?" And I thought it was like literal like a Quaker Oats game. I was like, "How the fuck does that work?" And then they showed footage, and I couldn't tell what the fuck I was looking at. So I paused it.
Quaker Oats.
I Googled it. It was not actually called Quaker Oats. Quaker Oats, the food company, started a video game division with plans to make multiple games, but it failed after just the first game because their first game was called Sneak and Peek. It was basically just hide and seek as a video game. Quaker Oats, the oatmeal company, made a video game of hide and seek. Not surprised.
I mean, you say that they were just ahead of their time. I mean, is it like Friday Night at Freddy's, something kind of similar to that a little bit, like the concept?
Five Nights at Freddy. You talking about
being found or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, but the graphics are way better.
Way.
And we're storyboarding here. You know, there's an actual concept here, not just what appeared to be a pixelated.
I don't know,
alien.
man. If they would have made Friday Night at the Quaker Oat man's house, that shit would have been pretty scary too.
I was gonna say that's pretty frightening. That is pretty frightening. I'll give you that one.
It's my wife's number one fear, Quaker Oats guy.
We'll unpack that another day. Jesus Christ. We have to have that conversation. So Nolan eventually does get removed from his position. I mean, not forcefully. There had to be some sort of acclamation. So he gets put out of his contract and he leaves. And this is where the documentary, we're coming to the end of this first one, hits me with a softball right to the gut because he goes, yeah, I left them. And then I was just like, I don't know, let's try to do something else. And this motherfucker left Atari and founded Chuck E. Cheese. And I was like, what the fuck is happening here?
When he said you can't say Chuck E. Cheese without smiling, I did it. I was like, oh, that man's fucking brilliant.
That man is fucking brilliant. I'm telling you.
Fucking brilliant, dude. Can't say it without smiling.
He invented nothing and yet has his hands in fucking everything. This fucking guy.
Deep pockets, brother.
And
deep pockets.
Here's how the episode ended, and I think it was perfect because it transitioned right into the next, which was that the big the Gang of Four of their top video game designers, the guys who get their hands dirty here, who make the games, had a meeting, and they didn't go into specifics here, but they did go into specifics in the next episode, so I'll save that. But they had a meeting with the folks over at Atari, and we're basically told, hey, you guys are a dime a dozen, you're easy peasy on the Switch. We can bring anybody's ass in here to do the job that you do. We're not really worried about you. So they quit. And where they went, we'll discuss in the very next segment. So let's go ahead and get to that. Let's get to the next segment, please. Thank you very much.
Next up, segment 2.
That took us to episode 4 of Game Changers, which was entitled, it's up here, When Duty Calls. First of all, chuckle at the title.
Yep.
But we move forward. Yep. This episode, no spoilers necessary. I think we all know where we're headed. This is the beginning, the rise, and continued rise. There is no fall here. For Call of Duty. One of, how would you describe this? One of the most, best first-person shooter games? Would you go that far? Or like, where does this fit in the lure of video game?
Yeah, I mean, I would give it that, I guess. Yeah.
Based on
revolutionary, sales. Biggest, most popular, probably most popular.
Are there any other first-person shooters that release annually like this one does?
Annually? That's kind of a very
difficult question.
No. It's very specific to the team, I believe it's like EA, I think it is.
Yeah.
That does it. They do like annual shit like that. Most people don't really do that. They're pumped, which is what hinders them. Like from that point to the future is that like they've they found that formula where they become bigger than the people that love what they do, so they don't have to cater to the people that love them because they're just so big that like people are just gonna use them. It's like when you're at Lowe's and you hear someone on the phone go, "Yeah, I'm at Home Depot." It's just like it's synonymous to the genre. If you say Call of Duty, you think when you say first-person shooter, most people, especially at that time, upwards. So now probably not so much, but like in the middle of that time frame, you think Call of Duty. So yeah, I would say definitely the most popular, best. I mean, depends on.
That's subjective.
Depends on like who you're fucking talking to. Yeah.
Okay, so the episode.
It's crazy though because right before they got into the Call of Duty though thing, they were hinting at like where it came from, and the moment they said that, my brain goes Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, Medal of Honor I remember that game. That game was so fucking good, dude. Medal of Honor was so good.
When they said Medal of Honor, it rang a bell, and then when I saw the cover, I went, oh, we had that. I remember that.
They didn't even have to say it. I knew exactly where the fuck they were going. Because I remember Medal of Honor, and then I remember Medal of Honor having an online. I don't think they mentioned it on here. I think they tried to make it sound like
they did mention it at the end. No, well, they did say that Call of Duty revolutionized it, yeah, but they did mention that. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, at the end, Medal of Honor comes back.
Right, so Medal of Honor, I remember the first online shooting that I kind of remember as a young kid is Medal of Honor.
Young whippersnapper.
Online, free-for-all. I think they actually, I don't remember. Maybe I'm remembering something else. I'm pretty sure they had like that that gun game where like you kind of had to get one kill with every gun. I could be remembering it wrong, but I remember being in like this little stadium with like objects in your way, and I just remember playing online, and I'm like, yo, this is the craziest shit I've ever played in my life. Like, this is crazy.
Well, the episode opens up with the Gang of Four, and I wrote them down this time. David Crane, Larry Kaplan, Alan Miller, and Bob Whitehead. Boy, those have got to be the four whitest motherfuckers I have ever seen in my entire life. So we learned that while they were with Atari, they were each making about $20,000 a year, which is nothing. Even in that time period, is almost nothing. But they were given a memo with the top 20 games that were released from Atari. They were ranked. They were ranked, 1 being the most successful, 20 being the least. And the whole point of the memo was to let them know that moving forward, we should really start concentrating on the IPs that we have more at the top of this list and make a lot less games that either connected to or were designed kind of like the lower end of the list. But what it did was it woke the boys up to the idea that of the 20 games that were on that of that list, which was the top 20, the 4 of them, whether they worked tandemly or individually, made about 60% of those games. And the games themselves had made Atari a profit of $100 million. So he said, so do the math. 60% of 100, that's easy. We've generated $60 million worth of profit for this company.
And I'm glad you said this, so let me jump in here now because I'm going to substantiate those numbers. You ready? I actually did work. Ready? Watch this shit.
I'm prepared. Let's go.
$20 million, which one of them calculated. He did $20 million for the company himself off his back.
Right.
He made $20 million. Do you know how much that is today?
Oh, inflation?
$164 million.
Wow.
Together, they made $60 million for the company. Do you know how much that was then in the 70s?
How much?
$488 million. Those 4 guys brought in $500 million to that company.
Now I wonder what the
And-
inflation is of the 20,000.
20,000 what?
Like
How
what?
much? How much they were making?
Yeah, if you took it, if
Like
you
their
did,
salaries?
if you did the inflation for the salary as well, if you did the inflation and said, okay, at that time they made 20,000 a year, what would that equate to now for the year?
20,000 in 1970 is equivalent purchasing power of 162,000.
Okay, so 162,000 for the year with inflation, and you said they made $500 million profit for this fucking company.
So if they eat right, so if they so if they each, let's say they each were getting paid $20K, that's about, let's say that's $8 million that they were paying these guys to make. Wait, am I saying that right? No, that's 800K. I'm sorry, 800K for them to make $500 million.
So they made cake here for them.
Bro, like
for
those numbers,
Atari.
my brain is eggs right now, making sure that I said that right.
Don't
They
do that.
made
Eggs are expensive
800
right now. Don't do that.
They made 800K amongst each other and made the company close $500 million. That's bananas. Absolutely. And they told them to fucking kick rocks.
Yes, I know. They made that much money for the company and was told to get we can get anybody to do that job. We can put a
Let me tell you
monkey in your
something.
chair.
Let me tell you something. I'm sure anybody who listens to this can relate. If anyone ever tells you to go to your boss and say, hey, this is the value I bring to the company, if it ain't over $500 million fucking dollars, these dudes got told to fuck off. You think they're gonna give you a $5 raise? Get the fuck out of here.
That
dude.
might, and not for nothing, the way that you just said that might have been the reason why they told them to fuck off. They didn't want to set the precedent of these gamers, these game designer people, being able to walk into the room and demand more money. In spite of
you know what?
In spite of the fact
Yes.
that they generate it.
100% exactly what the fuck you just said. And that goes right back to what I was saying before about how like history like just weirdly repeats itself. And it's like you can make the argument of like, sure, like not everyone can do that. Like you said, these guys make out of the, and this is top 20 is saying a lot because this is a generation where I'm sure there were hundreds of thousands of games that are out there in the system. They made top 20. They made the bulk of it. That made the most fucking money for that company. And even they couldn't produce the value of like the businessmen would take the stance of how dare you come to me with this? We don't fucking need you.
Jesus
right?
Christ.
Because if you think about it though, like are they wrong for thinking that? There's like I said, hundreds of games out there, and the one thing that those developers don't have that the developers here that did good did was my money. I don't need you. People can develop. We come up with the ideas. You just make it. Get the fuck out of here. I'll get someone else to do it. I swear that's the mindset.
Well, they got pissed.
Crazy.
They got pissed, and they just said, fuck it, we're out of here. And they left and created the first independent video game design company, Activision. Now, by independent company, that means that they were making games for all platforms. PC, got you. Atari, got you. And colloquial vision or whatever the fuck, got you. And television, got you, baby. If you want video games, come to Activision, baby. We're the best of the best. Except for the fact that they created this company right during the crash of '83, which was spurned by quite possibly the worst video game of all time. You know they had to bring it up, despite the fact that it's their claim to fame in a negative connotation. They brought up E.T. and the story on how that came about. Wow. And for those of you who did not get it, there's a whole documentary out there all on its own about the E.T. video game. So we're not going to dive into that. You guys can do the research on that. But let's just say it was not received well. And the reason why E.T. was even created in the first place is because We're finding out now that in the 80s, one of the most famous directors, one of the most important Hollywood men, is a gamer. And his name is Steven Spielberg. And this guy wanted to get this game done by Christmas, which, based on the time frame, was impossible. Some young guy was just like, fuck it, I'll try it. And he tried. He did. But it was not enough to save the game industry. We had the bubble there. And Activision changed its name to Mediagenic and becomes a computer software company. I actually remembered Mediagenic when I saw the logo. I was like, fuck, I am old.
Bro, shout out, hold on, before you skip by that, though, shout out to that guy who fucking, the ultimate opportunist, where he's like, bro, I'll do it for you right now, but I need $100K up front.
He needed the 165 for his mom's mortgage.
I need, give me 165 and I'll make this fucking video game for you. All right, wrote him a check, no quality assurance. You can't be mad at him. No quality assurance, no checking up on him. Yeah. I need it released. Say less, fam. I got you. Help me get my mama out of debt. Yeah. Okay, here. All right, now I'm going to go live in that basement that we just bought for 160, which is probably worth like quadruple that right now. In the basement, made this game real quick, gave it to him, and he was off the hook. That was it. He was done. That game, I think you could argue, is like you know how like you hear like the stories like when you go back into the past and like you step on a twig and it like fucks up, like reverberates through the future and like fucks everything up. Like I feel like that game just was the reason why the gaming industry just started like to collapse, because people were like losing millions of dollars because it was so
Yep. They were just dropping.
My man, swear he came from the future. Was like, I'll do it.
I got it.
I'll fucking do it. Let me get I gotta see my mama's house.
He said, give me the ball, coach. I'll take it in. I'm scoring 6.
What is it? Like Back to the Future with the almanac? Like they went back and they became millionaires because they knew all the winning games. They knew what to bet on.
Yep. Yes.
Oh, man.
Steven Spielberg did not give up, however, after the crash. He helped create a company called DreamWorks Interactive. I could have sworn I saw you playing some games back in the day what came from that company.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
I remember that.
Disney games,
yeah,
I think.
I saw that logo and I was like, I remember. And then they said something here that fucking blew my mind. When they were talking about mixing different ideas, Spielberg was like, we're mixing different ideas here. And somehow, when you mix GoldenEye and Saving Private Ryan, you get Medal of Honor. You get a World War II 3D-based first-person shooter. And I said, how? They showed the clips and everything. They were like, oh, it's got the movement and the style of a GoldenEye, but the content and the heart and the experience of Saving Private Ryan, I was like, God damn. If you've never seen Medal of Honor and you've played GoldenEye and you've seen Saving Private Ryan, you're interested right now. I'm locked in. I'm like, what the fuck? That sounds amazing. But even you said it at the beginning of this. Medal of Honor was a tremendous game when it first came out. People were all over it. It was good. I had that. That was one of the first games, if I'm not mistaken, where people were genuinely like concerned about how like ex-military would receive the game. Mm-hmm. Like how they would react to stuff like that. So it's like,
and because of how real it was, and in this they kind of tell you why it was.
Oh, that's the best part of the whole fucking episode. They introduce us, folks, because the video game designers, when they were making this game, they got sent. Steven Spielberg sent them to their military guy who helped them make Saving Private Ryan. They brought in a military guy for more factual to make it look real. They brought in a real military captain to come in and kind of like help them through that. And Steven Spielberg was like, you know, he was trying to get the game designers to meet this dude. And the dude fucking took him to a boot camp. And the dude I'm talking about is Captain Dale Dye. His fucking name is Captain Dye. That is the greatest fucking military name I have ever heard in my entire life. Is he military? Is he a Marvel villain? We don't know. He's Captain fucking Die. This motherfucker lives in Britain. Did you see the video where he's like talking to the video game crew and he's like asking him a question? The guy said, yeah. He's like, yeah. It's like, yes, sir. He's like, exactly. He was like, God damn. I'm not enlisted, motherfucker. Relax. Hold on. Wait a second. So they took him to fucking boot camp to learn what this shit is supposed to really look like. And we wind up with Medal of Honor, and we wind up with Medal of Honor Allied Assaults as it hits the PCs. And a company called 2015 Inc. hires modders as opposed to video game designers. That sounded interesting to me, that they would bring in modders, right? So these are people who usually take an already existing game and literally, as the name says, modify, right? So this is way different. Or is it way different? Is it similar? Are there small details, or is it like completely different from your average video game designer hiring a modder to come in? I'm asking you.
I hear you. It kind of depends. Like, being a modder can just be someone who, I don't know. There's like levels to it. Like you can be someone who knows how to develop and code, but mod something, right? For instance, I'll give you an example. There are some of the biggest games, for instance, like League of Legends and stuff like that, are modifications to other ideas that develop into its own entity. So, I mean, modding could be me taking a controller and putting like caps on them so that it looks different, right? Or I could take the controller you made, open it, and add like 3 turbo buttons to it and like solder the stuff and then put the controller back so that now when I press A, it hits my top triggers at the same time. So like it just really depends on it. There's levels to it.
Okay. All right. Well, they hired the modders to come in and work on the game. Medal of Honor changes the game. This is what they said here. I wrote this down. Medal of Honor changes the game as far as endings go. They realized with this game that gamers were enjoying the fact that this game was more of just an experience as far as playing a game and trying to get to the end or trying to beat the boss or getting a sense of accomplishment. That with this game, they were learning that fans really do enjoy getting a more cinematic experience. There was more storyboarding here. There was more character development here than your usual video game. This was part movie, part video game experience, and they really did. I mean, they're a little biased. They made the game, but they did state that was one of the games that really started that aspect of gaming, of getting these stories out there, which I thought was pretty cool. And then they immediately slide into the fact that EA Games buys DreamWorks. So now they're merging with that company there. They become liquidated in. And then I kept fucking this up. I kept writing Infinity War like Marvel. Yeah. And it's not. It's Ward. Infinity Ward. Yeah. Was created in a way that was very much like Activision. It was like a full circle deal. It was just like, we don't want to work for this company anymore. Yep. And then here comes Activision. They thought seemingly for the save.
But again, like I said, history repeating themselves. Yeah, they didn't have anyone to run the business.
Yeah, run the business. There you go.
Make the money.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot a name earlier for Activision because the guy admitted in the beginning, he was like, "We're 4 video game designers. We don't know how to run a company." And I did mention Ray Kassar earlier, but Activision had their own kind of Ray by the guy by the name of Jim Levy, who pretty much did the same thing. Didn't really know shit about video games, but he knew business and he knew marketing, and that could have been your beginning of descent right there. They just wanted to be gamers, but this guy made it a business, and I guess that's the tradition that lives off today. So they do that, and this game, Call of Duty, gets credit for being. It starts off multiplayer online gaming. Yet it's right there at the cusp of that. Isn't that what you mentioned at the beginning? Where like this, they kind of gave that credit to Call of Duty. Then Activision wanted to do yearly releases, And Infinity Ward said, abso-fucking-lutely not. There's no way we can do that shit every year.
That's too much.
There's
dude.
no fucking way. So they brought in...
And it's in an era where, like he said, he did make mention, like, games are way too complicated to make right
How
now.
the fuck do you do all that inside of a year and then do it every
And
year?
innovate, also. And innovate as
Build
well.
on top of that, yeah. So they brought in another company, Treyarch. They would rotate. So it would be Infinity Ward to drop one game. Treyarch would drop it the next game, but at least it gave them a 2-year cushion to figure out how they were going to make their games. Still not enough. So they brought in a third company, Sledgehammer Games, and then became a triannual game. But Infinity Ward was smart. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe they said when it was Infinity Ward's time again, which for them was the fourth game, they took it out of the World War II era and modernized it and brought it back to, or not brought it back, but brought it to present time, which changed the whole landscape of the game. If anything, maybe you can speak on that. Was that the new lease on life for this? Could they have sustained it just being simply World War II all the way through? Was that a necessary change for their future?
Maybe, but it's hard to argue considering how large of a success Modern Warfare was. It was revolutionary, Modern Warfare.
That was 4, right? Modern Warfare. That was the one that changed.
I believe 4 was Modern Warfare. Yeah, if I remember correctly.
So we get to the ending of this episode, and I have a question for you for something that was not mentioned in the documentary, but there's something that you used to do when you were a kid that I thought of that wasn't mentioned here, and I wonder what role it played. Because when this thing first started talking about the games, they brought up the PlayStation a lot. And I remember on PlayStation, you had a game called SOCOM.
Oh, yeah.
That's not connected to this franchise, correct?
No, because if it was, they would have brought it up.
But that's what I'm saying.
Remember.
So, did the tradition continue on, okay, this is a success, so now other companies are like, oh, let's do our own military-style first-person shooter games. Is that where SOCOM comes into this? It was like an offshoot or something completely different?
So it was, no, I mean, I honestly, I don't know. All I know is that SOCOM was a game that I heard of that I never really played too much, and then SOCOM 2 came out, and it was a huge success. And then, like, SOCOM 3 came out, and I think it started to, like, fall off. But I think that was also around the time where Call of Duty was, like, ramping up. So it's like they kind of started to, like, steal all of the people. Well, I don't know who the developer is. I'm trying to look it up right now. Zipper. The developer Zipper. It's a Sony company entertainment. So it was a Sony publisher.
Okay.
For SOCOM. So
that means
I think it was
the game was made in-house then, so that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was wondering that as I was walking. I don't know why, but I thought at some point it was going to come up, and I was like, is that not connected? Because I remember SOCOM.
No.
People were all over it when it first came out.
2004.
Woo, baby.
And EU. In EU, it was 2003. It was 2004 in EU. NA was 2003.
Man,
Yeesh.
So that is Call of Duty here. They have 8 episodes. Our next 2 will be 5 and 6, and then it'll be 7 and 8. And we're getting closer to the end. I like this speed better than last time. We did too much in one sitting last time. I like taking my time through these episodes now. These are pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's get to our... Actually, quick pause for the cause here. I finally recorded the new YouTube commercial. So we'll play that, and then we'll get into segment 3. Hey guys, AJ Orsini here, and I am super excited to let all of you know that we have completely rebranded the official OUM YouTube channel. We have changed the handle, we've changed the look, we have changed the feel and the vibe of OUM's exclusive YouTube channel. Now, all you need to do to access this YouTube channel, it's very, very simple. You go into the search bar, you type in OUM Network, or you can type in youtube.com/@OUM Network. It'll take you right there. This is going to be all-encompassing, every aspect of OUM officially on YouTube. It's going to be the episodes, it's going to be the shorts, the reels, the independent spotlight, it's going to be the OUM minute. It's all of your OUM needs on the official YouTube channel. Check it out today.
It's time for segment 3.
It happened. It happened. This past Saturday, you and I and my friends and family all got together and celebrated my son's 10th birthday. We went over to the indoor play area and had a hell of a time and had a bash, and everybody was good. And you know what it reminded me of at the end of the day? Not at the end of the day. Let me not say that, because I was drunk by the end of the day. But the next day, I started thinking about Saturday as a whole. When's the last time you saw Terminator 2?
When's the last time I saw Terminator?
Yes.
I don't. I fucking wouldn't even be able to answer.
Okay,
that.
but do you remember? You remember seeing the movie at some point?
Yeah, some of them. I'm pretty sure I can get some of it confused with one.
So there's a scene in Terminator 2 where Sarah Connor apparently is dreaming. Okay, because the whole point of that movie is that she's trying to save her son because her son's being attacked. The reason why the son's being attacked is because when the robots and the AI take over the world, her son, John Connor, is going to save the world from those robots, right? But in the midway through this movie, she falls asleep. She has a dream. She has a dream that she had failed and her son had passed. And they did not stop Skynet from destroying the world. But that's not how it's illustrated immediately. She's sitting at a park, and the sun is shining. There's children at play. The adults are smiling. What a happy time. This is Americana, man. The kids are on the swings. There's just joy and happiness everywhere. And she looks up, and incoming is a nuclear fucking bomb. And
oh my God, where are you going with this?
And she's trying to get everyone to safety. She gets off of her bench and she starts shaking the fence and she's telling people to run and no one's listening. They're just enjoying their time. And then a nuclear bomb goes off and you see it explode and you see people melting and dying and the flesh comes off of her bones and she's shaking the fucking cage and everything like that. It's a really, really dark scene. And the reason why...
Where the fuck are you going with this?
The reason why I bring this up is because when we were celebrating my son's birthday, we were the family and the kids at the park. We were just laughing, enjoying our day, not knowing that that night a nuclear bomb was going to go off and was going to burn all of us to death and change the world as we fucking know it. I didn't know. I was ignorant. I was living in blissful ignorance that whole day, not knowing that my world was about to change forever. And we'll get to that, because this PLE that happened on Saturday, and it's a little column A, it's a little column B, okay? There's some things that happened on this pay-per-view that you can skip it. It's all right. You just move on, right? But then there's stuff that happened on this show that will fucking live in infamy forever. We've beat around the bush enough. Elimination Chamber took place this Saturday. It was in Toronto, Canada. WWE is on the road to WrestleMania. I will take responsibility. I said it. I said, I don't really feel like we're on the same fucking road we were on last year. Because around this time last year, we were already cooking. I felt like this year was a slow simmer. It wasn't real. I mean, it's there. There's pieces there. I can't wait for Mania. That's the usual feeling. But I wasn't as jacked. So my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law came to my house after. And because my wife wanted to hang out with them, they came late. They felt bad. We ordered food for them and stuff like that. But I still had the pay-per-view on in the background. Nobody was really paying attention to the fucking TV anyway. It was just me. So I'm watching the pay-per-view, and I'm chiming into the conversation, but I'm between two worlds now, and I felt bad because there was so many things where I kept stopping my conversation because something awesome just happened on the TV. So
they're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, I was like, time out. And it got to the point where Danny, who you met at the thing, he hasn't seen wrestling in a very long time. So I turned the fucking thing on, and there's this big metal fucking chamber hanging in the sky. And he was like, "What the fuck is that?" I said, "That's the Elimination Chamber." He goes, that looks different from a cage." I was like, "Oh, it's very different." And
it's very
And
different.
I explained it to him, and then it lowered because I was like, "Oh, I guess the women are up first," which is obvious. So they bring the chamber down, and I explained to him the pods, and I even did the commercial. 2 miles of chain, 10 tons of steel. Like, you really gotta hype it, right?
You gotta sell it.
And he's looking at this chamber like it's death. Like, oh my God, this thing looks amazing. I've never seen something like this. And then Alexa Bliss's music hits, and here comes this 5'0" girl out to come out first. And his face dropped. And he was like, "What the fuck? Are they putting women in this?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh my God." Because the last time he's seen it, he was a kid, women didn't wrestle like that. He goes, "They're putting them in the chamber?" I said, "Yes, 6 women are going in the chamber. The winner gets a shot at the championship at WrestleMania." He's like, 6 women? He goes, "This is crazy." So whatever we were talking about is out the window. He wants to watch this match now. He wants to see how this match is going to happen. Now, let me precursor this real quick. Before we saw this pay-per-view, before it came on, we were talking about other stuff. And Captain America came up because we had seen it, and he was debating whether or not to watch it, and we gave him, our review or whatever. And one of the things that we talked about that we hated, and I won't spoil it here for people, but there's this 4'10" Israeli lady who is supposed to be like a Red Room Black Widow trained assassin, and she's like 4'10", like 80 pounds. And she's not a super soldier. She doesn't have a serum. She doesn't have the serum. She doesn't have powers. She's just a skilled assassin, and somehow was able to take 6'5", 250-pound men and just fucking toss them across the room. She was just flinging people, and it took us out. I was like, I'm not co-signing any of this stupid shit. And we told him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, that sounds stupid." So keep that part in mind. So the chamber comes down. We're starting off with the women. Here come the women. Right? Alexa's coming out. The whole order in which they did it. After the chamber is about to close, with the 2 standing in the ring, which is Liv and Naomi, Jade Cargill's music hits. And when Jade came out, Danny goes, "There's who should have been a widow. Look at that shit." He was like, "God damn, who is that?" I said, "That's Jade Cargill. She's the shit." And he was just like, "Wow, because Bianca came out and he was impressed with Bianca. But then here comes Jade. He's just like, whoa. When Bianca came out, he was just like, "What the? Wow." I was like, "Yeah." And then we gave him the resume. He's like, "Yo, Bianca's a former All-American athlete. Track, basketball, the whole thing." Jade Cargill, also All-American in basketball and sports at collegiate level. These are like real athletes. These are not just, they look amazing, but they're legitimate athletes. I think Bianca Belair is the one who holds if I'm not mistaken, she holds the deadlift records at the Performance Center. She still holds that record. She is strong as a goddamn ox. And so here comes Jade. Now I'm setting this up because I want to hear from you when this happened, right? Cargill comes in. And there's multiple things happening. She's making a beeline to who we think is Liv Morgan. And Naomi's got a smile on her face. Bianca's got she's hyped in the corner. "Oh, you thought, Liv? You thought? I told you." And then Jade does a perfect job. She goes right for Liv. Liv sells it wonderfully. Like she's going to get her ass kicked. And then she just pivots to the fucking left and proceeds to beat the black off of fucking Naomi. She beat that glow stick shit off of her head So goddamn bad. She threw her in the glass. She threw her in the chains. If a grandmother on a fucking bicycle would have been there, she'd have picked up the grandmother and beat Naomi over the fucking head with it. She dragged this bitch to the outside of the chamber. She closes the fucking chamber door in her face. She beat the teetotal shit out of this woman and then walked out of there. And the whole time she's doing that, Bianca is bugging in the chamber because she can't get out. Why are you doing that? Don't do it. And this is prime time drama shit. We haven't started the match. We haven't started the match. She's upset, not like anger, but like sad. She's crying. Naomi's she's out. You know, she's kind of moving a little bit. And Jade does all her damage and then just fucking leaves. That's it. Liv plays it perfectly, goes to the glass. She's making fun of Bianca. I told you it wasn't me. And then I'm thinking to myself, for a split second, I thought to myself, because we've seen this before. There was an elimination chamber where Edge was the was it the WWE? Yeah, I think he was the WWE champion. Edge was the WWE champion for one of the chambers at the start of the show, and he lost his championship. And then in the main event of another chamber, Kofi was making his way to the chamber when Edge beat him up and knocked him out, and then got in the chamber and took his spot and won that one. So we've seen people get injured and then replaced. When Naomi got taken out of there and Jade had left, it was like a dead silence. And then the clock started. So I was like, oh, we're not even going to replace her. That's it. Naomi's just out. We're no rest for the weary here. We're just going to keep going. But before I go on to the next thing, your thoughts. What were you thinking when this whole thing unfolded?
Well, we all kind of, because they ended up being on there when I was watching it. I went crazy because the entire time all this stuff is going on, those two, and I'm sure other people were too, but those two were like, Naomi did it. Naomi. It was fucking Naomi. I'm telling you, it's Naomi. It was Naomi the whole time. So when she came out, did that pivot and kicked her, they lost their fucking minds. They were like, we fucking told you it was that bitch. Get her out of here. Get her. Like, they were popping. They don't like Naomi too much.
I don't either, so it's
the fact that, like, she was getting destroyed, they were like Jade fans, dude. They were like, you know what I mean? Like, bust her ass, get her out of here. Like,
they're on the bandwagon now.
It was a cool moment. I think I can still see a little bit of that green in Jade, but I think that moment was probably one of her best performances.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So I'm really excited to see, you know, as she's been out under the injuries, she's been cooking. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. They got something going right now. Let's see what happens.
She looked strong. She looked
intense.
More
cut.
Yes.
She came back.
She looked intense. She looked zoned in. She looked good. And for two people in the room, in my living room, who had never seen her before, when that shit was over, and there was that little lull part before the counter started, the two people who were in my room, one of which had never seen wrestling, and the other one who hasn't seen wrestling in years, both looked at me and said, how is she not in the men's rumble? She's too much for the women. The men's chamber. She's too much for the women.
Did you say, calm down?
Yeah, I did.
Like,
I did.
Calm down.
I was like, calm down.
Please. Like, I get it. I'm with you.
Yeah.
She's nice. She's doing good.
Nice. She did a good job. But we're not going that far. So we're not going both for both here, but obviously after that whole scenario, here comes Roxanne Perez, here comes Bailey, here comes Bliss, here comes Bianca.
I mean, there's I'm gonna hold judgment. I'm gonna give her grace. I was a little disappointed on Roxanne. A little disappointed.
Yeah,
I was I'm holding back. I was big disappointed.
Yeah,
big. Big.
Actually, she embarrassed me.
She felt very
put her
flat.
Over. Go ahead.
No, This might have hurt her very badly, dude. Very badly.
I don't think it hurt her very badly. I think she can recover from this, but it wasn't just showing that.
Oh no, I'm not saying she's done. I'm just saying this hurts.
Actually, the funny part is the stuff that Liv did, I was expecting out of Roxanne.
Let's not. Oh, are you gonna make me do it? I feel like you're gonna make me do it.
Make you do what? What are you gonna do now?
You're
You're not gonna put over Liv Morgan, are you?
Dude, I kind of have to.
Oh Jesus!
I don't want to, but she kind of stole
forcing your hand.
the chamber. She kind of stole the like. I was talking to them, and let me just at least make this point. The one thing I will give her a shout out on is that two things happen. I think one, the WWE has figured out what to do with Liv.
Yeah.
And two, I think Liv has understood that role and is now embracing it. And it's fucking working for her. And that's be annoying, which she does amazingly.
Yeah.
And don't fucking wrestle. Have moves that you can do and perfect those moves.
Right.
But then be more theatrical than you are a ground and pound wrestler. And she's leaning into that shit, and she's letting the people around her do what they do best, and she's performing moves without messing up. She's being in the right place at the right time. She's selling the whole Jade thing. The back and forth between her and Bianca was really good. The up top was good. The fucking bouncing off the cage, which I still don't think was her idea, but was fucking awesome to see. Like, she's doing these very theatrical things that look awesome, and she's selling them well, and she's not trying to come out here and be like the best fucking wrestler, and it's working. And it makes me annoyed that I have to break this down because I fucking hate Liv Morgan, but she's kind of cooking right now. Ever since she got that belt run when Rhea went out, she started to develop there, and at this moment, she's cooking.
So I don't
it hurt me to say that.
I don't like Liv Morgan. I don't like Liv Morgan.
I don't like Liv Morgan.
Yeah, I know you don't.
Liv Morgan. She is not a friend of the show.
No.
We don't like
I don't think we've dogged anybody more than we've dogged fucking Liv Morgan. But you're not alone. She stole the chamber.
Hurts.
She stole the chamber. I'm with you. She stole the chamber.
She's cooking. Let her cook.
She did a great job.
Let her cook.
She did a great job at the chamber. Yeah, she did a great job at the chamber. I put it out there. The first time I gave her a compliment was with her role in the feud with Rhea Ripley.
So this is your fucking fault.
But to be fair,
you bigged her up.
No. Listen to the ending of it, because what I said was I'll give her credit for carrying her weight during the feud with Rhea, but it's a feud with Rhea Ripley.
But
I want to see her.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I want to see what she does after Rhea, and so far, after Rhea, she's done a pretty good job, because the tag match on Monday was really, really good. And then this performance here for this chamber was also really, really good. We forgot to mention that she also took the fucking hair whip to the fucking gut, which was so loud it scared my nephews, who was minding his own business, by the way, playing with blocks. And then that crack happened, and he shit himself. He was like, what the fuck was that? And we said, we sorry, Kayla. No, it was the TV. It was the TV. But, yeah, she did her job. She did exactly what she was supposed to do. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I don't hate for the sake of hating. I do not like Liv for the reasons that she gave me. I'm not going to sit here and make shit up. But what's good is good, and she did good. So we're going to sit here and we're going to tell the truth, and we're going to say that Liv did her goddamn job well. Because that's what she did.
I'm going to let her keep cooking. I'm not telling those guys, the people that watch the wrestling, they fucking love Liv Morgan. I'm not telling them this. Fuck them. But for right now, she's cooking. Let's fucking move on. I don't like myself right.
They love Liv Morgan, huh?
They fucking love Liv Morgan. Whether it's to spite me or that they actually do like Liv Morgan.
Hey, they're thinking with their dicks. Don't worry about it.
Fair. I don't care. Let them do it. But she's terrible.
Or
she's cooking now.
But
so whatever.
And here's the pleasant conclusion to this conversation. We are one step closer to Dave and the WWE ending their lifelong beef. Because the winner...
Are we in the redemption tour?
We're one step away, or we thought. Or we thought, hold on, because I'm just coming to the remembrance now of something, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
One step away, because you said step one would be if Bianca walked away with this, and she did. She won the chamber. She's going to Mania. She's going to face the champion, which we thought was going to be Rhea Ripley. Now, we're not doing a Raw review, so I guess it's safe to say that we can go into that now. We have a bump in the road here.
Hold on. Let me say this. Let me get this one. Okay. So when the thing with Jade happened, it leaned more into our conversation about them splitting that group up, and that's what was holding Bianca back, was her paying her dues or whatever the case may be, working with the talent. She's
trying to make some new stars.
Yes, giving people the rub. And I felt like she was stuck in that. The Jade thing kind of solidified, okay, we've now just separated everybody, which is cool. And then I'm like, okay, she could actually win this. When it got down to just those two, I'm like, I don't think this is going to happen. They're going to do this to me. And out of all fucking people, they're going to do it with Liv. This sucks. And she won. Right. So I'm like, all right, this isn't going to happen, right? Like, you're not going to do this to me. She's not going over on Rhea at Mania. It's not going to fucking happen. There's no way they're going to let her beat Rhea in that moment. They hate this girl for some reason in the back, and I don't know why. So
Bianca.
Bianca. It's not that they hate her, but it's just like one of those, like, we like to tease her, so they just pick on her constantly with this bullshit. So I'm like, all right, whatever, right? So I'm happy. We're happy, whatever. Then we go into Monday, and I'm like, wait, why do I see Asuka? Like, I'm not Asuka. I'm sorry.
Racist.
Why do I see Io Sky there? And then they told me, because I guess I missed a Raw, something that, because her match got messed up. She was getting a shot at the title on Raw.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, right? Like, that's a fun little match, right? And we're watching, and I'm watching the match, and I'm like, yo, low key, like, I'm really just telling them, because we were watching Raw, and I'm like, the only thing that sucks about fucking Io is out of the ring. She's just not good out of the ring. In the ring, though, she's a fucking monster.
Yeah.
She's so good in that ring. So I'm watching, I'm saying that to myself, and then I kind of look over, I look back, and then there's this little spat between Bianca, and then she's like, pay attention, whatever the case may be. They go up top, she reverse off the top, she hits a splash and fucking pins her for the full count. And I am fucking speechless. Like, I literally stood there in silence to the point where one of my friends were like, is anybody there? I'm like, dude, I'm fucking here. And I'm trying to put two and two together. Why is Rhea just fucking dropped the belt on a Raw? Like 2 or 3 Raws before Mania. Or like a couple, like so close to Mania, she just dropped the belt. Like, where are we going with this? And then I got to thinking, I'm like, were they listening to our podcast? Doubtful, right? And they're like, oh, okay, sure. If we can get the apology out of this one guy, what we'll do is we'll have Io beat her so that way Bianca doesn't beat Rhea. That's a thought that came. I know it sounds stupid, but that's a thought that came into my head. But, dude, what is that? I'm still blown by her dropping the belt there.
Yeah, my wife was asleep. She fell asleep, and when she hit over the moonsault, it counted 1, 2, 3. I literally screamed, "What the fuck!" like really loud. And I was just like, "What is happening here?" So what the fuck is happening? And yeah, they pulled the fucking trigger on the title change. My wife this morning, because she was goofy eyed last night. She doesn't remember anything. So we showed her the clip again, and she was like, "Do you think they're building toward a 3-way?" I was like,
God,
I don't want one, but
don't want one.
That you had your match right there on the table. We didn't need EO, man. We didn't. That wasn't a necessary component to this. And I was just
If
like,
there are
damn.
3 girls that can work a 3-way match and make it look good, I think it's these 3.
Yeah, but we did.
But I don't want that.
This situation did not call for a 3-way. This was the dream match, man.
Yeah, but there's no way Rhea doesn't go into Mania.
Not in a title match. Yeah, I know.
There's no way. There's no way after last year she gets injured, has to force to drop the belt, then right before Mania, she's taken out of the picture. Clean, by the way.
By 2 people who spent most of the year in tag team action. Because EO has been doing damage control matches all year. And as you just said, Bianca has been on babysitting duty all fucking year. And those 2 are going to be the championship match at WrestleMania, not her.
At this point in time.
Yeah, exactly. As Triple H said at the press conference, I know patience is hard to come by these days, but give us time. We're working on something for you. I
know this sounds stupid and weird, but is this a way to make it so that the female wrestlers don't have to main event one of the nights so that Cena can get that main event? Or one of the main events?
Cena Cody is going to be the night 2 main. That's the main event of the entire fucking thing. That's going to be the main event.
Yeah, that's the
And we know that Gunther and Jey Uso was never going to be on last.
I think they're going to go first.
Maybe they should. They should, but they weren't going last. So I remember saying when we first did the Rumble, I said, if you're going to give me Charlotte versus Rhea Part 3, that's your main event of night 1. I don't want to hear it. I didn't get that. Then when I didn't get that, I was disappointed and realized, wait, I could get something better. I could get Rhea and fucking Bianca finally, and then they gave it to me for like a day. And then they take it from me again. I was like, motherfucker, every time I get excited about the women's title situation, you change it up on me. So we're going to have to sit in a holding pattern for just a minute and see where this takes us. And we will move on to the next matchup for the evening, which will take us 2 seconds to fucking talk about. Because who in the fuck cared? I am sorry. I didn't need that. Remember I told you I was like in and out talking to people and then watching the show at the same time? I phased out on this one. I was doing some talking because I was like, get the fuck out of here. The WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton teamed up with Trish Stratus as they defeated Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Who did it help? Nobody. Who was it for? Toronto. Outside of Toronto, who cares?
They said the moment they said that this was the first time that Trish Stratus was able to perform in front of her children, it all made sense.
Yeah. Yay for them. So we finally found out who gave a shit about this match. That became pretty obvious.
No one. No, I'm kidding. Mommy, why are we here?
Yeah, they were on their iPads the entire match.
Yeah, right.
So, did you see Mommy's match? Sure. You did good.
He looked up. When is Mommy coming out? Dude, she just finished.
He's like, oh shit.
Can we go home now?
Yeah. Are we good? Are we done? Fuck. It's loud in here, for fuck's sake. And I didn't bring my headphones.
That's funny.
All right. Yeah, so I said what it was. We're moving on. No one gives a fuck.
Oh, you can do that again right now.
Oh boy. Okay. So no, I'm not gonna go long with it. But
all right, enjoy.
Yeah.
Here's my take to get it done. This shit was boring as fuck. All right, you can go ahead now.
Okay. Well, you're not wrong. It not that it was boring. To me, I liked the ideas that they had. Listen. There's a term that they use in the courts, when women get divorced and they get alimony, and the lawyer says, you have to pay because they've gotten accustomed to a certain style of living. You know what I'm saying? I have seen Kevin Steen and El Generico tear the literal, actual, not hyperbole, tear the roof off of buildings. We're looking at UPWG. I have seen them do amazing shit inside that ring. I've seen them do amazing shit in this style of match. This was the match they wanted for WrestleMania all those moons ago when they had their singles match. They were not given the green light to have that kind of match. They had to go out there and just have a wrestling match at WrestleMania, and I was there. And if you remember, I said I did not like that match at all. It was one of the ones I was the most hyped for to see live, and when the show was over, it was the one that I liked the least. And I was very disappointed, and I said, you know what, I'm going to withhold judgment here. I'm not going to get hyped. Let me just see what they do. Let me see what they bring to the table. And they had ideas that would have worked in the past. Their execution of everything here, not so good. Everything here, I don't know if it was the agents. I don't know if it was their idea. I can't really tell. Everything was stuck in molasses. Everything went slowly. And they would have spurts. Like when Sammy does the Blue Thunder Bomb. He whipped that shit. That was slick, that Blue Thunder Bomb. But it took 10 minutes to set that up. And to get there. And to move from space to space. And to set up this prop. And to move this here. And then we've got a chair wrapped in barbed wire. But nobody's really bleeding. And we have... at one point, Owens takes a pipe to Sammy's mouth and he's pulling him back and he's biting him on the forehead. And they're getting aggressive and they're getting intense, but it doesn't feel like it's moving at all. It doesn't really feel like there's any urgency. There was no sense of I really want to fucking kill this guy. It was all like some sort of psychedelic movie where they're just like pacing and staring and the facials, and it was like theater. It was like Broadway. It was like watching their rendition of Hamlet. You know, it was like, now I move the table thusly, and they were just moving from scene to scene. I'm using my Clayface voice now from Harley Quinn, but it was very theatrical. It was almost like they were trying to come up with ideas like they would have come up with in the past when Sammy does that exploder on Kevin Owens and basically his fat engulfs a steel chair like Kirby. Like he got dumped on a steel chair for a split second. He had become the chair and then he kept rolling and then all of a sudden the chair reappeared. It had rematerialized out of nowhere. They took some crazy bumps and I'm sure that each one of them sucked. It must have been very, very difficult to have that match. That looked painful as fuck. So I'm not going to sit here and say that they did a shitty job, but at the same time, let's just say I'm glad it didn't happen at Mania. I'm glad it didn't happen at Mania. Yeah. I'm glad it happened in Canada, and I'm glad they got it out of their fucking system. They finally had the match they wanted. And like you said before, now that they've had it, the ending of that match was to set up Kevin Owens and Randy Orton for WrestleMania. I'm not even sure that I'm all that excited for that particular match, but we'll see the build-up and see where they take it. And hopefully it goes in a direction that will be interesting. I would hate to see Kevin or Randy in a program that sucks. But I'm looking at that as for an angle to see where exactly it won't suck. I'm not entirely sure. So far for some of the matches that have been announced for WrestleMania, and that one hasn't been technically announced yet, but that's where they're headed. It will be Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And I just hope that they are prepared to do some serious building for that one. Because on the surface, if you're just going to tell me, well, the reason why I put this match together is because when Kevin Owens first started to snap, he injured Randy Orton, and now Randy Orton wants his revenge. Yeah, I'm going to need more than that. Because Randy Orton's been doing this a long fucking time. If we were to sit down and write a list of everybody that Randy Orton wants to get fucking revenge on, we would be here a long fucking time. So I don't think that's the sole purpose of wanting to fight Kevin Owens. Especially since he beat up Randy because he was getting in the way of Kevin getting his hands on Cody Rhodes. Which at this point is a non-issue. Cody's busy. So I don't see the purpose. I don't see the point. But we will see. and we're going to go ahead and let them cook. Which takes us to our final match of the pay-per-view, and I am going to cut this up because it's going to be its own shit for sure. And this, of course, this last match and the afterbirth takes us to our main event of the evening.
It is now time for our main event.
In the actual main event of the pay-per-view, the PLE, I knew I was going to do it at one point. My fucking brain. I literally have to train myself to say other letters. For fuck's sake. But yes, it was the main event of the PLE. It's the Men's Elimination Chamber. Let's skip through the bullshit because you know who's in it. It's CM Punk. It's Seth Rollins. It's John Cena. It's Logan Paul. It's Damian Priest. And it's Drew fucking McIntyre. And I'm going to say this off the bat. This chamber perfectly illustrated the hierarchy of this of the status of all 60 of these motherfuckers right here. I don't know why, but you can copy and paste what I just said 2 seconds ago about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. No, excuse me. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. You can copy and paste Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. I know that's where they're headed. I do not know why. And it better not be for what I think it is. Because if Drew McIntyre has to go to WrestleMania to do a job to Damian Priest simply to force feed that idea, I'm pissed. Enough with the fucking jobbing out Drew McIntyre to get over other people. Get Drew over. He's the one who just hung you up for more money. So you paid the man. Get your money's worth. Stop fucking feeding this motherfucker to people. Left and right. He's Drew McIntyre. You show this man some goddamn respect. I don't have a problem with Damian Priest, but it ain't there yet. It ain't there yet. I'm sorry. It's not there yet. And he is living proof of what I have been telling people for years. Simply being Puerto Rican cannot be your fucking gimmick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm breaking a lot of hearts. I'm sorry. Every Puerto Rican wrestler's gimmick is he's Puerto Rican. It's fucking annoying. We fucking get it. You know how many Puerto Ricans whose gimmick are Puerto Rican and they've never been to Puerto Rico? They've never seen the fucking island. But they come out to the music and they've got the flag on their tights and the headbands and all the whistle and the houser and the what's-its. That's all they fucking do. Hi, my name is Damian Priest and I'm Puerto Rican. That's the whole fucking... Oh, I'm from the Bronx. You know who is proud of the Bronx? People from the fucking Bronx. If you say, I'm from the Bronx, that holds weight here, right? It holds weight here. It might hold some weight in another metropolitan area that has, that kind of culture. If I go to Chicago and yeah, he's from the Bronx, they're probably just like, all right, cool, whatever. They're familiar with it. If you go to L.A., they might not be as receptive, but they'll know that's a serious thing. They take it seriously. All right, he's from the Bronx. All right. If you go to fucking Toronto and you go, hi, I'm from the Bronx. They're like, oh, that's cool. that's interesting. Sounds exotic. You know what I'm saying? They don't give a fuck. That's not an everywhere thing. You can't just... Your whole persona can't be, I'm from Puerto Rico. And sure enough, they do a deal with fucking Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is the first guy pinned in this match. I wanted to fucking throw up in my mouth. And then, he's the first one beat. But when they beat Damian Priest, they threw the fucking kitchen sink at Damian Priest. Everybody hit this shit on him to try to get the giant out of there. So then he gets beat. And then here comes Logan Paul. We're down to the 4. Logan Paul gets beat. We're down to the 3, and I'm going to be honest with you. This 3 got interesting. When it was down to these 3, everybody in the house shut up. There was nobody having frivolous conversation when it was down to this 3. Even Danny was like, listen. Now, around this time, his wife, my sister-in-law, Christina, was starting to get a little sleepy. She was closing her eyes. And we live on the other side of Brooklyn, so they got to drive like an hour to get back to Long Island where they live. It's getting late. Now they was just like, well, we got to get ready to go. I was like, okay, no problem. And we gave our hugs and stuff. I didn't realize that in about 30 minutes, his whole life was going to fucking change forever. But he left, and we're watching, and I'm kind of half saying goodbye, but I'm watching these three. I'm watching these three perform and do their thing. We got the nostalgia act. Here comes Punk and Cena with the hugs and then we call them hugs and slugs. You hug it and then you start throwing hands, baby. I respect you, I love you, but fuck you, I'm going to Mania. Let's just start throwing hands. And Rollins is getting involved, and they do stupid psychological stuff like Punk and Cena side by side, and Rollins looks all offended. You chose his side? You chose his side? Yeah, he chose his fucking side, you idiot. God damn it. And they're all going back and forth. Rollins gets beat, but Rollins is taking his sweet time exiting the ring. Punk and Cena have an exchange. Punk lands on the bottom rope with his head exposed, and right before Seth leaves, drops him with the fucking curb stomp on the metal rigging, knocking Punk out. Cena pulls him into the ring. STFU, and not even STFU with like the palms, the big ass forearms he used to use. This nigga put his legs in and then put his ass essentially in a fucking sleeper. It was hilarious. The position, that was the worst STFU he'd ever done, but it still looks so fucking effective. And he's got Punk stretched. They call it. John Cena wins the Elimination Chamber. And Steph wants to murder a small child. Steph was pissed. For long-time fans of the show, you know what this means. And she's not with this decision at all. She's fucking mad. Cena's jumping up and down like a fucking fifth grader who just found the banned candy stash. He's bouncing up and down. He can't control his giddiness. Then the lights turn and Cody comes to the ring to address his future WrestleMania opponent. And then it dawned on me watching Cody come through, oh, wait, he's supposed to respond to The Rock tonight. And he hadn't done it yet. I said, that's weird. Because I remember before the show started, I figured that was going to go after Kevin Owens, but before the main event. So they could bridge it. But they did it immediately after the Chamber, which I thought was weird. So here comes Travis Scott now after Cody gets in the ring. And then The Rock. Mm-hmm. And now all four men are in the ring. And Travis Scott has to be the most interesting man in the world. Because he never grabbed the mic. But I could not take my eyes off of all of the goofy shit he was doing in that ring. Regardless of what anybody said, he just kept doing shit. He's talking to the fans. He's pointing and gyrating. At one point, he lit sage, and he's just trying.
I thought it was weed at first.
I thought so too. But he started like waving it around. He was like he was trying to rid himself of evil spirits. He was just trying to get all of this negativity out of here. He was just like waving it around Cena. Cena was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like he kept like moving over. He had to separate himself because Travis was just doing shit. He never said a word to anybody. He's just sitting there with his bullshit hardcore title, saging the ring, and just being Travis. I don't even know who this. I up until the WrestleMania theme, I swear to God, I've never heard a fucking Travis Scott song in my fucking life. I don't know jack shit about this guy. I know that he's a celebrity. I know that he's king shit for what he does, but I don't know anything about him. But he is slowly winning me over as the most awkward motherfucker I've ever seen in my entire life. He just does good. This is the same dude. This is the same dude that I popped when he started smoking a blunt during Jay's entrance. And nobody fucking said a word about it except for Jay at some point during an interview. And he just does weird shit. So think about this for a second. In the ring right now, Cody Rhodes, The Rock, John Cena, and Travis Scott, just all together. And Rock comes in the ring, and I noticed that they completely ignored John. Rock's talking to Cody, Cody's talking to Rock, and no one's acknowledging John, or for that matter, Travis. But Travis didn't mind. He was all right. He's doing his thing on the side. He's Travis. He's being Travis. But John's overacting everything. He's doing all the facials. He's standing by Cody.
I didn't notice that until hindsight.
Oh, but wait, I'm gonna get to my review.
I'm gonna let you cook, but I just want to make note that like I agree with you, and I didn't notice it until hindsight.
So I noticed it, and I noticed he's overacting, and Rock's doing the whole deal. This is the time. This is your moment. The moment arrives. Time for you to make a decision. Blah blah. Cody does the big amp up, the big build up, and then he hits him with the I gave my soul to this ring and these people a long time ago, and he looks Rock right in the face and he says, "Rock, go fuck yourself." And even Steph just went, whoa, easy, buddy. Jesus Christ. And
I said Christian was going to sue him.
Oh, you know what? Good fucking point, because I also thought about that too, but I didn't. I was so lost in the moment. He was the first face that popped into my head. But Cena sold that. Like, he said, go fuck yourself. And this motherfucker said, yeah! Like, he fucking, like, yes! If he could have filleted Cody at that point, it would have made his night. Cena was just so happy in the whole deal. And one camera switch spoiled it for me. Spoiled it. Right when he said, go fuck yourself, Rock. Okay, this is the best way I can describe it to people. No matter who's in the ring, the way you shoot the ring tells the viewer who the main focal point of the conversation is. Even down to the positioning, where everyone is. Travis is in a corner. Rock is in a corner. Cody is in the middle, and Cena's by the rope. Classic, like, bum rush position. But you don't get that vibe because Cena's, like, doing the whole deal or whatever like that. When he says, go fuck yourself, the camera starts to go back and forth between Cody's face and Rock's face, and they got tight on Rock's face because he was selling the fact that he was just disrespected. And
Absolutely.
The very next shot was on John. And up until that point, it hadn't focused on John. They only focus on who you're supposed to focus on. So when he said, go fuck yourself, and then they tightened up on the Rock shot to show his reaction, and then the camera hit John, I grabbed Steph's shirt. And she goes, what? I said, he's going to hit him. And she said, what? I said, John's going to hit him. That's the point of the camera shot, so the fans can see it. And she was like, no fucking way. We've been talking about this for years. He's not going to do it. I said, Steph, I'm looking at the way they're shooting this shit. He's going to hit him. And sure enough, they go in for the hug. Cena looks at the Rock. Rock looks at Cena, and Cena's face drops.
Yep.
And the people pop. But even that pop, that first pop, was not a real pop. They popped with shock. But even in that moment, they weren't fucking sure just yet. They're like,
it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. There's no way. And then when they backed up and his face got smiley again, and Cody backed up, and then he boots him in the balls, and the fucking planet shook.
Yeah.
And Steph looked at me and said, how the fuck did you see that? I said, it's the camera shot. They spoiled it because they wanted to make sure they were in the right position. He just went to the camera too soon. When the camera focused on John, I said, oh, he's going to hit him. That's the exact way that I said it. And even I was like, still having my doubts, but I'm thinking in my head, why else shoot from that side? What does it matter? Because there's been a few times since John's return where he's done the whole oversell thing, but they don't film John. They only film what they're supposed to film. This time they filmed John, and they went, oh, he's going to hit him, and then he did. And went, what the fuck? And you know how Steph is with John Cena. And this whole time, after he kicks him and John's just staring, Steph is staring. Steph is stunned. But she's my wife. So my son comes over to me and goes, is somebody going to tuck me in? And I said, Alex, what's happening right now is game changing. I cannot miss this. My wife gets up and goes, I can miss this, and fucking left. And went to the room with Alex. And
damn, dude.
And so this happened. And then Michael Cole had the wrong call, and Pat had to clarify. So, and I saw a few people online who also got this wrong. It did look like it, but it wasn't. They thought it was brass knucks that he was hitting Cody.
No, it was a watch.
It was the watch. Not a watch. It was the watch. You remember the watch? You remember?
I'm trying to. No, I'm trying to.
Last year at WrestleMania, when Cody won the championship, and he went to the back, and he was hugging everybody, and they were all congratulating him. Triple H, Bruce Pritchard, a couple people, they pulled Cody off to the side, and they reminded him of a story.
Oh, his dad.
His dad had pawned the watch to get money for the family. And years later, they found the fucking watch and awarded him. It gave him his father's watch at WrestleMania 40. So he won the championship, and he was given his father's watch in the same night. This Saturday, John Cena took that same watch and broke it over Cody Rhodes' head as part of his heel turn.
Crazier.
That is insanity. And I don't know if you've been reading the dirt sheets. I don't know if you've been keeping up on the Google machine. But we have found out that not only was Cody cut open hard way from that belt shot from John, Travis Scott popped Cody Rhodes' eardrum with the smack.
Oh my fucking goodness, dude.
This motherfucking Travis is... this motherfucker needs a reality show, son. He does the weirdest shit. The weirdest shit.
Yeah, that will. If that actually happened, that'll never happen again. They don't need unprofessional people fucking in there doing
Fair. That's a lot of the commentary that I'm seeing online as well, too, that he didn't know... he shouldn't have been invited to do the stuff.
No, that's why he had to, like... You know how when you beating your wife from the back, she trying to get up, so you push her ass down? John Cena had to do that shit too.
So you need to move, nigga.
He said, yo, put your head down. You need to arc that ass up, bro. That's what he had to do to fucking
Travis?
Fucking Travis kept pulling him up, and he was trying to lay his ass down, so he had to reach over and push him down.
It's like leave his.
It's such an awkward. Like when they do the replay, it's like it's such an amazing moment. Kind of low key spoiled by some random ass person there.
Just some random dude just fucking around. It's hilarious, but I want to open the floor because I opened the show, and this is where we go full circle. I opened the show with our comments from last week because it popped into my head. We did a what if segment talking about Stone Cold, and miraculously, thankfully, karma would have it that conversation took us to a conversation about John Cena. And the reason that we felt that he was never allowed the opportunity to do exactly this. You had made a strong point about all the stuff that he was doing, why he was doing it, what he had to swallow in order to do it, that he was handcuffed. We said that. He was like, there was nobody more handcuffed than him. He had to play it the way that he was told to play it for the sake of the business and for the sake of his business and for the sake of the company. And he never got that chance to do something different. So, on that note, I walked away from this being genuinely happy because all that stuff that we talked about for the reason why they couldn't do it before is not in place now. This boy is about to have some serious fucking fun. He's about to go deep. He's about to go deep into his bag and do something that he's been dying to do for forever. I only have one problem with this. Just the one. When I heard he was doing a farewell tour, I thought it was literally going to be that. It was going to be the roses, it's the high fives, it's the wave. He's going to go into all these cities and do the shtick one last time, blah, blah, blah. He just created a whole new character. Yep. That by my measurement, we only have about 9 months to enjoy. Because according to his timetable, he's done in December. Now, if this heel bullshit don't take off, we're going to be glad that it was only December. But if the final boss taught us anything, is that if you do this correctly, you can get a whole new lease on life on this fucking guy. And I don't know if 9 months is going to be enough to really generate what you can from this. A heel Cena is valuable, I think. So unless he plans on being on the road every single week between now and December to really maximize what that could be, we're going to be shortchanged here. Like, for instance, this should happen on Saturday. He wasn't on Raw, and he's not being advertised for SmackDown. Cody is, but not The Rock and not John Cena. So if we're still doing the part-time gig, I don't know how much momentum we're going to get out of this. I don't like the idea of them pulling. They finally pulled the trigger on this, but now we're not going to have time to flesh this out. So I don't know. Now that it has happened, and you said your piece last week about why it hadn't happened before, but now it has happened. What do you predict is? What do we see moving forward from here? What kind of character are we talking about?
I don't know. I hope he goes full fuck you. I'm gonna go back to when he announced the tour, right? Announced the this is my last run.
Right.
Dude, listen, things are done for a reason, and he went out of his way to make a point about how brutal everybody was. He would never say something like that before. You're supposed to ignore it.
Yeah.
But he made a comment to it. So now this is kind of making sense. So I hope, if I'm lucky, I get to witness the most handcuffed person in the whole wide world who did what was best for business, what's best for the people, what's best for the children, what's best for the kids, and none of you motherfuckers appreciate anything. Fuck all of you. And I hope that's the way he goes out. We don't need more than 9 months. Give me 9 months of him shitting. What do you call it when they're being serious, kinda? A shoot?
Yeah, well, it's real.
Or am I getting it backwards?
No, well,
I want him to go out there
yeah,
and shoot that motherfucker up, leave, and don't look back.
Yeah. Go
that
all the
would
way.
be the most ultimate. It would be the perfect legacy left behind, dude. And I would love to see him pull that off. And that would be the most legendary fucking Hall of Fame induction. All kinds of crazy shit, man. I think they should put him in the Hall of Fame, but like him not show up. like all kinds of crazy. Like, lean into it, dude. Fuck you guys. Now, obviously, they're not gonna do that, but I think it
No,
would
but
be
you
pretty
know,
cool
you
if
know
they
what
did.
you could do, and I've done this before on the show. I'll do it again here. Steph had asked me earlier today before the show. She said, "If you're John, what would that first promo sound like? Like, what's the tone? What's the context? What are you talking about?" And
He already had it.
He already what?
He already had it.
He already
In my eyes.
Oh,
He set the tone.
Would he drop the mic?
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah,
I'm not giving you anything.
No, but at some point he does have to say something.
I understand
yeah.
that. But I'm answering your question.
Yeah.
My first one is fuck you.
Yeah, that drop.
I'll speak when I'm ready.
That drop
yeah,
the mic
fuck
was.
you. I'm not giving you nothing.
That drop the mic
Yeah,
was
suck my dick.
fucking perfect. It was perfect. But I told Steph, I said,
that's my answer to that.
If I'm John Cena, and I know I got to talk, and I got to say something at some point, I would just stand, because he's getting booed all the way to the ring. First of all, I would come out no music. No music. No, nothing new, nothing old, nothing. I would just walk out. Nothing. My entrance music is the boos and the tears of children. That's my fucking entrance music. And I walk into the ring and I just let them get it out of their system. Just like Roman Reigns did when he got booed out of the building after beating Taker. Just let him fucking do it. Let him fucking do it. And I would pull the mic up and I would just go, "Let's go, Cena." And then they would boo. And then I would turn and change my voice and go, "Cena sucks." "Let's go, Cena. Cena sucks." And I would wait a second, let the room get involved in it, and I would just look at him and go, "That's the answer to your question. That's what everyone's asking, right? Why would you do it? Why would you attack Cody? Why would you sell your soul to The Rock?" Because of that. Let's go, Cena. Cena sucks. That was you. Not me. That was you. Year after year, day after day, blood, sweat, and tears, no matter what I did, no matter how hard I pushed. Let's go, Cena. Cena sucks. Right? This is what everybody wanted. Isn't that what you got? You guys have been asking me for years, right? What's the other side? When's the shoe gonna drop? Kane, and I would bring all this shit up. Kane made it his personal mission for me to look into my darker side. There was a whole program around trying to turn Cena heel. There was like a full year where everybody was trying to get him to snap and be a bad guy. Dig into that evil self, right? Everybody was sick of seeing my jean shorts and my sweatbands and my colorful hats. That was the issue for everybody. Doesn't matter how many make-a-wishes I grant. Doesn't matter how many autographs I sign. It doesn't matter how many meet and greets I stay an hour, 2 hours late for to meet everybody. It never really mattered. Because as much as I put this company on my back, as soon as I leave and another kid comes in who did not put this company on his back, that left our good company here, that trashed our company, he comes back and he's the golden boy. He's the guy that everybody loves. I stayed the entire time, worked my ass off, no matter what. What, you're injured for a year and a half? Don't worry, I'll be back in 3 months. Because I don't want to leave the team in need. I go to Hollywood, I come back, mixed reaction. I stay full time, mixed reaction. I won 6 17 world championships, all for you. Mixed reaction. So, this WrestleMania is my last WrestleMania. And I never thought that I would want a 17th world championship. I was fine with the 16. I get to sit in the same room with my hero, my favorite wrestler of all time, Ric Flair. I got a chance to do something special. But I won 16 titles for all of you. All I did was make sure that at this WrestleMania, I get to do something a little bit different. I get to win a 17th world title just for me. And then they boo. And boo for what? I gave you 16. I can't have one? I can't have one thing for me? My whole life is for y'all? I can't have nothing. I can't have one. And why The Rock? That's the next question, right? Very obvious. There's a good chance. 1-1. I could have won 17 on my own. I don't know why people are wondering why I would sell my soul, so to speak, to The Rock. Sell what soul? What am I giving The Rock that I'm not already doing? Was I my own champion when I was the champion? No. I was y'all champion. Was I my own champion or your champion at certain times? No. I was the other guy's champion. We can't say his name on TV. If I was to win at 17 championship at WrestleMania this year, would I still be my own champion or your champion or No, I would be Paul Levesque's champion. So now, what The Rock does is he does what he does. He's the boss of bosses. He's the board of directors. If he states that I'm beholden to no one, then I'm beholden to no one. And that's what I want. I want to be beholden to no one. When I beat Cody Rhodes at Las Vegas, at WrestleMania, and I win the 17th championship, and I break the record, and I become the most decorated superstar in WWE history, and cement my status as the greatest WWE superstar of all time, it will be on my terms, and it will be for me. And if you don't like it, you can go fuck yourself. All of you. Because this is ultimate babyface. If he cat's out of the bag. On Raw, Finn said, what was it Finn said? Was it bullshit or just shit or one or the other? And Cody is saying, fuck, we're out of the bag on this one at this point.
Rhea said, fuck you to Bianca and called her a bitch.
Yeah, she did. There you go. So, to your point, Full Throttle, they've got footage for days of the fans booing this man, if people trying to egg him on and to get him to turn that cheek, man. And we'll see. We'll see if that happens or not. I'm excited about where this is going to go. I know it's all the rage right now. Everyone's talking about this. I understand. I get it. But I really am. That's why I'm kind of upset about December. Because, man, I think this can go even further, man. Especially if he's not going to be here full time. We're not going to run it into the ground. He's not here full time. To end it on a December pay-per-view or a PLE of some kind would be fucking... Like, before the Rumble, too? We're going to do something big in the Survivor Series, something in December, and then that's going to be the end of his career? I doubt it. I call bullshit. Especially if this thing takes off. He's going to be here longer if this gimmick takes off. Look at the Final Boss. We're still dealing with the Final Boss right now. That was also supposed to be a one-time thing. It's not. It's spiraled off into some other shit. They've breathed new life into these characters and into these people. So
We'll see.
we will absolutely fucking see. So with the PLE out of the way, they do have Roadblock, I believe, is next Saturday. I'm not watching that. I would have watched it if it was a WWE thing. It is an NXT thing, so I'm good. I don't need it. It's all right. So for us, the next stop on this road is indeed WrestleMania. So I can't wait. I'm excited. Next week, we're doing the next 2 episodes of Game Changers, which is episode 5, Backstabbed by Board Games, and number 6, Game Changers, World of Warcraft goes for gold, baby. So I'm excited to learn more about that stuff. I'm learning stuff here. I know you were engulfed in some of this stuff, but I'm getting my learning on. I write notes, and I'm saving these notes too. I'm very fond of my notes. So thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for sharing. And of course, guys, thank you for listening to this extremely evil episode, the villainous cut of Orsini's Uncensored Mind. Jesus Christ. What can happen next week?
Mic drop. Wait a minute. This is too much. Cooking it like a pro. Wrap it up, everybody. Show's over.